afternoon, everyone. I had some requests for me to go through the review with you guys. I'm going to do it in class, but also if you can go back this way, you can pause and repeat if you need to. So I'm going to go through a few today and some more tomorrow and finish up on Wednesday if I have to. All right, so we'll start with number one. It says determine the intervals on which the function is increasing, decreasing, and constant. And when we're talking increasing, decreasing, and constant, we're looking for the x values when we talk about our intervals, the x values. So looks like to me from -5 to -2, it's constant. And with increasing, decreasing, and constant, you always use parentheses. No brackets on increasing, decreasing, and constant. So from -5 to -2, it is constant. So it looks like the only one that says constant -5 to -2 is A, but let's make sure that we are correct here. It is increasing from -2 to 0, and then it's increasing again from 3 to 5. See, it's going up. As my x values go from -2 to 0, it's going up, and then as they go from 3 to 5, it's also going up, which is what this says. And then it's decreasing between 1 and 3, which is exactly what this says. So A would be my correct answer. Number 2. Determine the domain and the range of the function. Your domain are your x values, and your range are your possible y values. Now, domain and range can have brackets and parentheses. You use brackets indicating that it can touch that point. You use parentheses when it's up to that point. A lot of times it's when you see an open circle or something like that. All right, so my domain is my x values. They go from, x's look like they go from -3 all the way to 0, and it includes both -3 and 0. So I'm looking for a domain from -3 to 0. Looks like this is going to be my only choice. See, this says my domain's from 0 to 4. I don't have any x values in there. This one says your domain's from 0 to 3, which it's not. And this one says from -infinity all the way to 4, which it's not. So it's going to have to be -3 to 0. Now let's look at the range. I'm going to change my color to look at the range. The range are your y values. If you'll look here on the y-axis, the lowest y value that I get is 0. Then the y values go all the way up to 4, and it touches 0 and it touches 4. So I'm looking at a range from 0 to 4. So that would be B as my answer. All right, number 3, use the graph. Determine any relative maximum or minimum of the function and the intervals on which the function is increasing or decreasing. All right, when we talk about relative maximums and mins, we're talking about y values. When we talk about increasing and decreasing, we're talking about x values. So I will talk about maximum first. Maximums are your high points. So this is going to be a max. So there needs to be a max of 1, and that happens at x equals 0. So let's look, maximum of 1 at x equals 0. So that's here and here. So this will be take out B, take out C. There appears to be a minimum of -3 when x is 2. So now I can take out A. So my answer is going to be D. I'm not crossing that out very good. So relative maximum of 1 when x is 0, relative minimum -3 when x is 2. It is increasing from, and increasing, decreasing are your x values. It is increasing until I get to 0. So -infinity with parentheses to 0. And increasing, decreasing, remember, uses parentheses. It is increasing again from 2 to infinity, and it's decreasing here between 0 and 2. So my answer is going to be D. All right, number 4. Graph the function. Use the graph to find any relative maxima or minima. I'm going to come over here. Since they give me the equation, I'm going to come over to the calculator, which I thought I had pulled up. Let me pause it for just a second, pull up the calculator. All right, I'm back. I have the calculator now. They want me to graph f of x equals the absolute value of x plus 4 minus 1. So I'm going to go to y equals. To graph absolute value, that's math. Go over to number. First thing you'll see is absolute value. You can also get it in the catalog if you need it that way. Absolute value of x plus 4 minus 1. I'm going to graph that. Take a look at what I see here. So here's what it looks like. They want me to figure out whether there's a relative maximum or minimum. Looks to me, from looking at this graph, I'll move it over here a little bit, there's a minimum value. So if I went to second trace 3. I want the minimum. I'm going to move over and give it a left bound. And I'll push enter when I get to the left of that point. I'm going to give it a right bound. Enter. And then I'm going to push enter one more time. There is a minimum, and notice it says negative 0.999984. It's just a rounding issue. This is really negative 1 when x is negative 4. So the minimum is negative 1 when x is negative 4. So come back over here, minimum of negative 1 when x is negative 4. That would be A. Make sure, some of you got in trouble on the last test, or you missed problems because you chose, they may have had another one that said relative maximum of negative 1. It's the exact same number, but it was minimum and maximum, and they mixed them up. So this graph, and I don't have it exactly, but actually that's not right at all. It was at negative 4. This graph looks something like negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. It went this way and this way. So this was the minimum point. So be careful. All right, number 5. Oh, right before we get to number 5, I thought y'all would like this graph because number 5 is a word problem, or this picture. Every time I see a math word problem, it looks like this. You have 10 ice cubes and you have 11 apples. How many pancakes will fit on the roof? Purple because aliens don't wear hats. I thought y'all would like that. Word problems are not this hard. We're going to figure out a pattern, and most of ours follow this pattern, but I thought y'all would think that was funny. All right, Alyssa wants to set up a rectangular dog run in her backyard. She has 36 feet of fencing to work with and wants to use it all. If the dog run is to be x feet long, express the area of the dog run as a function of x. So this is x. This side would be x. All the way around is 36. So to figure out this side, a couple ways you can do it. If she has 36 and she takes off 2x, and that would give her these two sides, and then she'd have to take half of it to find each side. 36 minus 2x is 18 minus x. So this would be 18 minus x, and this would be 18 minus x. Another way we looked at it when we were doing this is if it's 36 all the way around, it's 18 halfway around. So if this side's x, this side would have to be 18 minus x. So the area is the length times the width, so it'd be x times 18 minus x, which is x times 18 is 18x minus x times x is x squared, and so it's 18x minus x squared. My answer would be C. Go back to black ink. All right, number 6 is also a word problem. From a 16-inch by 16-inch piece of metal, squares are cut out of the 4 corners so that the sides can then be folded up to make a box. Let x represent the length of the sides of the squares in inches that are cut out. So here I have this box. I'm going to cut out these sides. Now, the volume of a box is length times width times height. So if this was 16, and I'm going to cut out this, then this side becomes 16 minus 2x, and this side would be the same. So the volume is going to be 16 minus 2x times 16 minus 2x times the height. If I fold these up, the height of the box is just going to be x. So now I'm just going to have to do FOIL. 16 times 16. Come over here, multiply. Oops, I need to be on a regular screen. 16 times 16 is 256, I believe. 256. So this would be, if I did FOIL here, or the distributive property, it would be 256 minus 32x minus 32x plus 4x squared, and all of that is times x. So it won't go over any farther for me. And I'm having trouble with my pen here. So this becomes 256 minus 64x plus 4x squared. Oh, I'm off the screen again. Let me write it up here. 256 minus 64x plus 4x squared, and all of that is times x. So if you multiply x times all of these, they're going to start with the largest exponent. So that'd be 4x cubed minus 64x squared plus 256x, which the answer is C. You can set it up. It's just the foiling then to get your final answer. All right, going to do a couple more, and then I need to pause this video so that it doesn't get very long. Number 7, they want you to find f of negative 7. 7 and 8 are both piecewise functions. They involve you plugging in a value for x, and here they want me to plug in negative 7. If my x value is less than or equal to negative 1, I use the top function. If my x value is greater than negative 1, I use the bottom function. So since I'm plugging in negative 7, f of negative 7, I'm going to use that's less than negative 1. I'm going to plug x into the top, and I would get 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. This would be my answer. If I'd asked, what's f of 5? Well, 5 is larger than negative 1, so I would do the bottom one. I would say f of 5 is 5 minus 5, which is 0. And you could plug in any number for x, but if that number that you're plugging in is less than or equal to negative 1, you use the top. And if it's greater than negative 1, you use the bottom. So here in number 8, I have 3 functions. I'm going to use the top. I'm going to use 3x plus 1 if x is less than 7. I'm going to do 7 times x for all my values if x is between 7 and 12, and then I do 7 minus 3x if x is greater than 12. And they want me to plug in an x that's negative 7. So I'm going to use this top one. F of negative 7 would be 3 times negative 7 plus 1. Because it's negative 7, I'm going to use the top equation. So 3 times negative 7 is negative 21, plus 1 is negative 20. So my answer number 8 would be D, negative 20. I'm going to pause this here before it gets too long, and I will pick up with number 9 in the next video.